In 1941, some of the finest American fighter pilots took on the fight for a double victory against oppression abroad and racism at home. They called themselves Red Tails.
We were as patriotic as anybody else. We wanted our chance to prove that we could do something.
Your nation calls on you to die for your country, and you can't even sit down in a restaurant. It's not a pleasant feeling when you look and think, what am I volunteering to die for?
I really didn't care whether it was segregated or not. I wanted to fly.
Admission into the cadet training program required at least 2 years of college, at a time when fewer than 1% of African Americans had a college degree. Academically, they truly were the best of the best. By the end of World War II, the Red Tails had flown more than 1,500 missions, shooting down a total of 112 enemy aircraft, including Nazi Germany's first jet fighters.
I saw these streaks coming. Instead of going this way, I went down, turned the plane upside down, went down under the bombers, and I caught one of the jets just as he was coming in to shoot down the B-17.
Back home in America, top brass personally decorated the group's pilots.
It was a time in history we should be very proud of. We set the star very, very high for anybody who's following us. We changed the world.
The double victory had yet to be won.
For African Americans, the oppressive ironies of the Cold War South seemed unbearable. African Americans had served the U.S. with great distinction during World War II. They were treated as heroes in France and other liberated countries where, often for the first time in their lives, they were identified as Americans rather than simply blacks. Southern African Americans fought for freedom during World War II, knowing freedom at home only as an ideal never fully realized. Despite wartime civil rights efforts like the Double V campaign, veterans came home to a segregated Southern power structure as racist as the one they had left. Revelations of Nazi racism and the Holocaust drew global attention to the brutal realities of racial hatred in all its forms. In the American South, however, black veterans discovered that civil rights activists were branded as subversives in the Southern media, linked with communism, hounded by FBI and other federal officials, and even murdered by fellow Americans. Stories of black veterans being beaten, gunned down, or lynched after simply attempting to register to vote became international news. Veterans like Medgar and Charles Evers, who spoke out about the absurdity and moral perversion of racism in a country fighting for global freedom, faced coercion and violence from all levels of Southern authorities and the resurgent Ku Klux Klan. Medgar Evers repeatedly tried to register to vote, only to be chased by a violent mob threatening death. Stories like these disturbed a growing number of white Americans while providing a powerful ammunition to the Soviets and anti-American forces around the globe. In the early years of the Cold War, civil rights was part of a global movement of oppressed people searching for freedom in a post-colonial world. American racism posed a serious problem for Cold War efforts to win the loyalty of the non-white Third World. Global ideological competition with the Soviet Union required America's political leaders to demonstrate the appeal of American life in opposition to the communist system. The existence of Jim Crow put America at a decided disadvantage, forcing reluctant national leaders to take a stand against segregation in the next decade in the name of national security, if not decency and respect.
Me, my wife, run all over town. Everywhere we go, the people would turn us down, Lord, and the bourgeois down. He's the bourgeois down. I got the bourgeois blues, gonna spreading years all around. Me and Martin, we was standing upstairs. I heard a white man say, I don't want no niggas up there, Lord, he's a bourgeois man. He's bourgeois town. I got the bourgeois blues gonna spread in you all around. Home of the brave, land of the free, I don't want to be mistreated by no bourgeoisie, Lord, in a bourgeois town. It's a bourgeois town. I got the bourgeois blues, I'm gonna spread the news all around. Everywhere we go, the colored people will turn us down, Lord, in a bourgeois town. It's a bourgeois town. I got the bourgeois blues, I'm gonna spread the news all around. The white folks in Washington, they know how. Took a colored man, a nigga, just to see him bow, Lord, it's a bourgeois town. It's a bourgeois town. I got the bourgeois blues, I'm gonna spread the news all around. Tell all the colored folks to listen to me. Don't try to find no home in Washington, D.C., cause there's a bourgeois town. It's a bourgeois town. I got the bourgeois blues and I'm so gonna spread the news.